Hey everyone, welcome back to Corporate Decoder, the place where we dig into those lengthy corporate reports so you don't have to. Today we're diving into Sotera Health's latest filing, and let me tell you, it's not just about numbers, it's about a company navigating complex risks all while trying to keep growing. Will they pull it off? Let's decode it together. First off, the annual meeting of stockholders is happening in May of next year. But there are also some things you should know. There will be votes for electing directors, considering the compensation of the top executives, and ratifying the accounting firm. Nothing unusual so far. Sotera is listening to its investors. In 2024, they spoke with shareholders representing a huge chunk of shares held by people not directly affiliated with the company about topics such as corporate responsibility. They discussed board structure and governance structures. Let's talk about who is running the show and how the board is made. It has 11 members. Because some major investors hold big chunks of stock, they have the right to pick some of the directors. 5 of the 11 were picked by these investors. It's worth noting the company is not considered controlled, even though these investors get to pick some of the board members. The directors have a wide range of backgrounds. There are people with deep experience in healthcare, finance, law, technology, and corporate responsibility. It's a mix that is meant to guide the company effectively. Most of the board members are independent, meaning they don't have any relationships that would cloud their judgment. The only one who is not independent is the CEO. The board has regular meetings without the company's management. They also have each of the committees, audit, nominating, corporate governance, and leadership development and compensation, meeting in sessions without the management present. It is important for directors to meet by themselves so that they can discuss stuff freely. The audit committee, which is composed of independent directors, keeps an eye on the financial reporting and accounting practices. They also ensure compliance with all applicable laws. It's their job to make sure the numbers are correct. Let's take a peek at how much the directors get paid. The non-employee directors each get a cash retainer, plus extra for serving on the committees. They also get stock awards. It ranges from $33,000 to $100,000 in fees. It is not uncommon to also see more than $200,000 in stock awards. Now, the juiciest part, how the top executives get paid. The company says it pays for performance, balances short-term and long-term goals, and remains competitive to keep and attract talent. In 2024, company revenue grew by 4.9%. Also, their Sterigenics segment, which is their largest, saw 4.6% revenue growth. Shareholders showed strong support for the executives' pay in the previous vote, with over 98% approval. That said, the company has listened to its investors and they have revised the approach to long-term pay for top executives. For example, they are now tying more of the executive pay to achieving financial objectives for 3 years. For the CEO, nearly 90% of the pay is performance-based. For other executives, it's around 74%. This means if the company does well, they get paid. If it doesn't, they don't. Here is how the annual incentive plan, or AIP, worked. It all depends on hitting certain levels of adjusted EBITDA. When that happens, the executives earn cash incentives based on preset targets. It's important to note that if the company doesn't hit the minimum threshold, there is no payout. So in the end, the company hit 97% on the Sterigenics segment. Because of that, executives got payouts in the annual incentive plan. The company can take back pay. It has what's called a clawback policy. If there's an accounting restatement, meaning some errors were reported, they can get back any compensation that was incorrectly awarded. Basically, if the executives got paid for something that turns out to be wrong, the company wants that money back. A lot of the stock options are granted at a regular time each year, shortly after the company releases financial results. This is so that insider information doesn't affect those numbers. Let's see how much the company is paying their auditor, Ernst & Young. The audit fees alone were almost $3.6 million. Then you need to add to this more for tax and other services, which amounts to almost $4 million. The company has a section about risk, as every company does. Some risks are that the laws and rules around their healthcare services could change, that they might not be able to handle the competition, and that they might have trouble keeping up with the latest technology. Also, lawsuits over ethylene oxide are a major issue, with legal costs and payments really adding up. All of these lawsuits means the company may need to pay settlements or suffer penalties if they are found responsible. Finally, looking at the high level, there is a limit to the number of directors. The number is 11, unless investors Warburg Pincus and GTCR consent. In other words, the board has some external control on who gets to be part of the board itself. What about CEO pay versus performance? The ratio of the CEO's pay to the median employee's pay was 136 to 1. SEC did a change that now requires companies to make that number public, which is good. Now, let's check who owns Sotera Health. Warburg Pincus owns almost 27%, and GTCR owns about 17%. Darsana Capital Partners owns 7%. Let's wrap things up. Sotera Health is a company trying to grow while navigating tricky areas like legal risks and regulations. Their performance-based executive pay plan is meant to align leaders with the company's success, but those legal and regulatory risks could definitely throw a wrench in the works. They're in a tough spot. But here is what I think after going through the report. Sotera is facing some big challenges, especially with the EO-related lawsuits. These legal battles are costly and cast a shadow over the company's future. On the positive side, Sotera is trying to improve things by listening to its investors and linking pay to performance. If you enjoyed this breakdown, give us a like, leave a comment and subscribe for more corporate deep dives.